you speaking to me? No. I think it's the game drive. No. Yeah, Kurt, you're going to have to wait for us to get out of this little place. I'm afraid I can't hear you. Let's get up onto the little ridge crest here and then we'll pick her up again. I think it makes a huge difference, you know, the environment or the atmospheric conditions make a big difference to how our radio signals go. I think the pressure's quite low at the moment and I think it's definitely been better. Oh, quickly across to Sammy's got something.
We have some bee eaters in front of us. It's a new bird species to our list. It's one of my favorite birds to view out in the wild. The bee eater and the kingfisher. I have some great times with them spent where I was up in the north of Cape Town, and these ones, I'm presuming, are the little bee eaters. So at first, from a distance, I thought it was the white-fronted bee eater. And we're going to go to our bee eater page and we're going to have a look, but have a look and see how they like to sit at the edge of branches together with each other. They're gregarious, which means they move together. Let's have a look. Bee eater 204. Beautiful birds. They have such stunning colors, and they will sit at perches like that and they'll hawk. So they'll jump off that position and look for something that's floating around there. Very cool to see them. Just want to see if I can have a good picture of them. So, I said first that it was a white-fronted bee eater, which it's most definitely not, because the white-fronted, of course, has a fro on top of it, which is white, and these ones over here. So when I saw from a distance, I thought it was that one. Yeah, but it's not, because you can quite easily see the yellow beneath this one here, the little bee eater, which is over here, much smaller, and they are gregarious. So they live together, and the white-fronted bee eater you won't see in groups like this. So that's very cool. I haven't seen the little bee eater out in the wild before. Very cool spot of these birds. So straight from a pack of wild dogs to a gregarious group of little bee eaters. Hopefully we'll get a quick little spot of them jumping and looking for some insects. So you get a few bee eaters within this family. You get a bee eater called the carmine bee eater, which comes in the summer season, so it would have left now, and it is truly beautiful, that bee eater. You also get the European bee eater. Wow, you see how quick they are, so quick. And you also get the European bee eater, which is also very colorful. So they get that name, bee eater, from the fact that they eat a few bees, of course. They also love lots of different insects. So I'm just going to read up a few other facts on the little bee eater. So it hawks flying insects from a low perch, as I said, and it nests in small burrows such as rodent holes or in ant heaps, sometimes also in a roof or ant bear hole, generally seen singly or in small groups that only come together in large numbers to roost on a branch. And that is exactly what we're seeing now. It's so cool. Sitting tightly together, shoulder to shoulder. At the moment, we're just viewing this one little bee eater who's the last of the group. I have no idea where the others went. They just flew off now. But if you want to take a screenshot of that beautiful bird sitting on a perch. So we've seen quite... I'm glad that you guys are all enjoying the new addition to our bird list. least 5 new birds to my bird list today, which is very cool. So one's just jumped back in. So the other bee eaters that we get are as I said, the European bee eater, the blue-cheeked bee eater, which I've never seen before. As I said, the southern carmine bee eater, the white-fronted bee eater, the little bee eater, and the swallow-tailed bee eater, which I hadn't seen before. So they're all quite similar looking. They all have a dark black strip that goes through their eyes. Is that their call? I'd like to just listen to see if they have prominent call. Truly, truly beautiful birds. What I'll do is a bit later, when we're not with the birds, I'll get my sound device out and we can listen to the sound of this little bee eater and we can get to know it a little bit better. But that sound that we're hearing sounds like a red-billed oxpecker that's somewhere close by. So Wayne is asking, aren't bee eaters migratory? That's a good question. I should have raised that one a bit earlier. Some of them are. So as you can see, the little bee eater here is not. But the European bee eater is a migratory bird. And so is the southern carmine bee eater migratory. And I'm not sure about the other ones. Claire from New York wants to know, why do you think some bee eaters stay and the others don't? Well, Claire, I think it's purely out of the types of food that they eat, as well as nesting areas, places to nest. Food and nesting and breeding. So breeding is together with nesting and the food. So that I would say is very determined on why they migrate to different areas. So it's going to get very, very dry here in a couple of weeks' time as we reach the winter season. So the types of food really dries up around these areas. So that's why a lot of birds will migrate to other places to then feed. So, Elvis the Ellie has given us the opportunity to see great things today. We've already seen so much. Wow, it's cool to watch them fly. Alright, well, let's go see what else we can find today. Maybe we can put something else on our bird list. I'm just trying to remember the ones that we got this morning. We watched Secretary Airlines taking off from the airstrip there. Sorry, Chris, I just got a message. Go ahead. Okay, so we're gonna go and see how James is doing. Let's go and ask James and see how he is doing.
There is a beautiful picture of the setting Sunday sun there. We're on the Kruger boundary, just oozing along gently, seeing if there are any tracks that come across. There aren't. There were some tracks of a duiker, tracks of a kudu, tracks of a nyala, but not tracks of Inkanyeni, who I was hoping to find lying atop a termite mound, beautifully framed by the setting Sunday sun. That's called triple alliteration, David. Did you like that? Setting Sunday sun. Lovely colours. And the one thing that's such a pretty picture that I'm just going to let you keep looking at it for a little while, because there's nothing else to look at other than my mug. When we get to the end of this road, I do want to show you inside the Kruger. I'll describe it to you first while you look at the sun there. Inside the Kruger, I've made mention of the fact that the rainfall decreases exponentially as you move from the mountains in the west to the east where we are now. And the Kruger, of course, stretches another 30 or 40 kilometers further to the east of where we're sitting. And then you're into Mozambique. And we at Djuma, we know we received a fair amount of rain during that sort of late summer rain that we had. And this area here did not receive the same amount. And I can tell that because the grazing inside the Kruger here is dire. When they get to August or September this year, there is going to be nothing left on the ground here at all. It's going to be very distressing, I think, for many of the animals. They're going to have to go somewhere else, or they're going to get very hungry indeed. So now let's pull off the sun, if you don't mind, Dave, and we'll look down into here. And as we drive past, we'll just keep moving. You can see how there is no grass here at all. It is just sand and dust and leaves of the trees, but no grass at all. So for the grazers, it's going to be a really rough time in these parts as we go into the winter. I think that's quite interesting. It's also quite distressing. Anyway, there's still grass on the clearings here. I think that's got a lot more to do with the standard of the soil there. As we go down into the clearings, sodic soils, many more nutrients than there are in the sort of granitic sandy stuff here on the top of the ridge crest. Very, very stunning afternoon this. Hello, Callie. A nice question from you. If I found a plant that I knew to be poisonous, would I remove it, or would that be interfering with nature? If it was exotic, so if it was not an indigenous plant, I would remove it without question. If it was not an indigenous plant, would I remove it? Probably not. But that said, I've been past many poisonous mushrooms, of course, and I haven't removed them. And the thing is that animals know better than us what's poisonous and what isn't, far more than we do. So while I did make mention early on in the drive that maybe that nyala that had died next to Chelapan had perhaps eaten something toxic, the animals out here have a much better idea than we do as to what's toxic and what isn't. And so I don't think it would be necessary for us to remove toxic plants from here. But in terms of, I mean, I know we make a big deal of not interfering with nature. The Sabi Sands, I mean, is basically a record of intervention with nature. We've put roads everywhere, we've put water points everywhere, we've put lodges everywhere, we've introduced species here and there, we've lost some species here and there. So, it's all kind of relative, Callie. I'm a little worried I'm about to drive off the reserve. 1 second. At least it's going north and not south. Were I to drive onto a Mala Mala, I would be in big trouble. Let me quickly open the map. I took another magnificent photograph while you were gone, but I shan't show it to you. I like to keep you guessing a bit. Here's the corner here. We're okay. We'll go to the far northeastern corner of Cheetah Plains. Hello, Gracie. Very nice to have you back. I know you've had some trouble getting hold of us the last little while, and I'm very sorry about that, but it's wonderful to hear your voice again. And you say, would I like to be a monkey? Because you think I'd make a very good monkey, A, because I like climbing trees, and B, because I'm a little bit hairy. And you say that not to hurt my feelings, but just because it's a statement of fact. Gracie, I'm not hurt in the slightest, and I think being a monkey, yes, would be quite nice. I think that's probably why I do climb trees. I do enjoy climbing trees very much. I come from a long line of very hairy people, Gracie, none of whom were monkeys as far as I'm aware. But I do, yes, very much like to climb trees, and it's lovely to hear from you. I hope you're feeling a little bit better. Okay, Sam is at Lake Treehouse. He's looking at the setting sun.
Whoa, things are feeling a little bit upside down here at Treehouse Dam. Beautiful picture of the beautiful sunrise in the distance through Treehouse Dam. Look at that, isn't... I just said sunrise, I mean sunset, a beautiful sunset here at Treehouse Dam. That reflection is just beautiful. And I couldn't help just stopping and having a look at that, because these little moments in the bush really tell me that I have got the best job in the world. Gracie, I just overheard a conversation that James is a monkey. Gracie, we actually saw James in one of the basins the other day, he was tracking Karula in the drainage line, and I really did think that it was a monkey walking through the bush. It was actually James. So it was quite funny. I don't know if you were on that drive. We also saw a few monkeys just before that. So that was quite funny. He is quite a hairy man, old Mr. James Henry. So isn't that special? If you want to screenshot that, do it, put it on your desktop on your computer, and you'll be with us at Treehouse Dam. Just fantastic. Great filming by Brian. As we leave that beautiful spot. Violet, who is aged 10, would like to know what animal I would like to be. You know, Violet, I've thought about this before. If I could be something else that's on this planet, what would it be? And there's two things, Violet. And firstly, I want you to send a message, #SafariLive, what you want to be, because I do want to know. But what I want to be is two things, because I love the ocean. If I wasn't out in the bush here, I'd be in the ocean, 100%. It's where I feel the most happiest is by the ocean. Both by the ocean and in the bush. So my two animals one is ocean, which is a orca whale. I would just so dig to be an orca whale, which is a killer whale, and just swimming in those pods, or I'm not sure what you call a group of killer whales, but that is something that I often think about. And I was very privileged to actually see some orcas a couple of months ago. But if I was a land or something outside of water, I would most definitely be an eagle, definitely. I'd be a black eagle, otherwise known as the barrow eagle. And I'd love to soar through the mountains, and that would be what I would want to do, hey Violet. I would love to know what your passion would be. What would you love to walk on this earth or swim or fly? What would you love? I wonder if James would like to be a monkey. It would be quite an interesting question. What would James like to be? Brian? Do you have anything that you'd like to be?
Probably something that flies.
So Brian is together with me on flying. He would also like to fly. Is there any bird in particular that you like, Brian?
Something big, like a Cory bustard.
Ooh. The champagne bird?
No, the Cory
bustard.
bustard.
The Cory bustard. Sorry.
It's bigger.
So the black-bellied bustard is the champagne bird. We're going to take a right. Because Ellie is looking right, I'm going to go right. So the Cory bustard is what Brian would be. But the day is still young, and we still have the ability to see if we can find a leopard this afternoon. I'm not sure if the leopard scouts are still watching, and I really would love to find you a leopard, so I'm going to be looking for some tracks. Potentially we might come across a leopard, because sometimes, and maybe even 50% of the time, we've got some mongoose just in front of the road. Good afternoon, guys. How are you doing? What has your day been like? There's two of them. So they are dwarf mongoose, which means they live together. They work together. They go to different homes every night. And they're such interesting creatures, these animals. Look at them digging. Gary from Kentucky would like to know, are these the same mongoose that would kill a king cobra? No, Gary, these most definitely are not the ones that can kill a king cobra. I think a king cobra would eat these guys quickly. They're the smallest mongooses that we get, and they mainly eat things like little fruits and insects, termites, little tiny things that they can find. How cool that he's digging. I'm actually not sure which mongoose it would be that would kill a king cobra. I would love to know what that is. Potentially it's the slender, which is a much larger one. The white-tailed mongoose is also big, and the water mongoose is also big, but I'm not sure. It's a great question. Gary? Oh, look, they're playing. Did you see that jump? That was a big jump, eh? He would win high jump, the one that just jumped there. So they're digging in. I wonder what they're doing. Maybe they're looking for a little bit of food. Oh, there's a zebra just in the clearing to the left of us. So we're not alone out here. We've got a zebra and a few mongoose. But Kitty Bang Bang was asking a question on whether mongoose would climb trees and raid nests. Yes, sometimes mongoose will eat the eggs of nests, so they'll go up and there's two zebra there. That's very cool. So one there. So now it just became a dazzle. And there's an impala. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Everyone's just joined the party. So mongooses will often, be opportunistic where they can to collect food, and they will eat eggs from trees, no doubt. But they mainly live in what we call like the termite mound. So there we go. You can see a termite mound now. That is their main place of dwelling. It's been quite a cool afternoon. We've seen the interaction and the play between some wild dogs as they got up from their sleeping position, and now we've just seen some dwarf mongoose play. Maybe we can watch them in the home. Violet, age 10, said that she would like to be a wild dog because they are awesome. Violet, I agree with you. Wild dogs are very, very cool. Ooh, we've got a bird of prey. Let's go to see what James has got there.
Size. Everybody there. I can never quite get the sizes right here. I'm pretty sure that's a dark chanting goshawk, everyone. It looks almost identical to a Gabar goshawk, but the Gabar goshawk is about half the size. I always doubt myself when I see them. A Gabar goshawk, 1 foot tall, 30 centimeters. A dark chanting goshawk is 50 to 56 centimeters, which is almost 2 feet. That bird, to me, what do you say, Dave? You think it's only 30? It just looks so large. Alright, we'll go with Gabar. I think Gabars have got... No, it can't be, man. Why is it so hard to tell? Anyway, it's one of the two, and I mean, it's pathetic that I'm unable to tell the difference. But I cannot, because I do not know. I'm totally unable to tell how tall, how big that thing is. Red legs, you can see. It's also sitting down on its legs though, you know. And if it was standing up, I think it would look a lot taller. I'm going to go with dark chanting David. I'm not going to say that you're wrong, but I'm going to go with dark chanting goshawk. Oh. Amazing view though. We don't normally get a view of the bird like this, and if you are a birder or a keen twitcher or ornithologist, not that the two are the same thing, the things to look out for on this bird are the pink legs, which you just saw when he was scratching himself, his pink beak and cere. The cere is the bit above the beak, and that very distinct narrow barring below the chest. Now, if he wasn't so ruffled up because it's cold, you would notice that he has got a pure grey, he's sort of grey, purely grey down to the middle of his chest, and then he's got that narrow barring all the way down from there. And he's just preening his feathers, making sure all the barbs of the feathers are in line, because if he takes off, he must be able to fly perfectly well. I'm now starting to doubt myself again as he starts to fold his feathers in. I'm not going to say anything different though. I'm going with dark chanting goshawk on this. I can see a little bit of barring on the underside of the tail. That may well also be helpful. He's just catching the last rays of the sun. I think it's going to be a chilly night out here. It's been a chilly day for him. That's why his feathers are all ruffled out, and he'll go and find some thick bush to sit in for the duration of the evening. You won't get a better picture of this bird than that. It really is amazing. Let me just quickly check again. They've both got barring on the underside of the tail, obviously. I'm really, really upset with myself here. Hunts in low flight in more open country, unorganized perch within cover. That's the gabar I'm talking about. Frequents broadleaf woodland, mixed woodland, usually perches within the canopy or on the top of a tree. Well, that's on top of a tree. It's not within the canopy though. Thank you, Deborah. You agree with me that it is a dark chanting goshawk. I'll tell you how we're going to solve this problem. It's not particularly ethical, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm such a rebel. I'm going to play the call of the gabar, and if it responds, because I don't think it is a gabar, then we'll know I'm wrong. But if it doesn't, then I'm going to go with the fact that I'm correct. Where is he? Let me find his call. Obviously, the bird app doesn't put all the similar birds together. I mean, why would it? That wouldn't make sense. Okay, this is the gabar's call, everyone. Here it is. Oh, he's looking. Okay, let's play the other one. I think he looked quite interested there, don't you, Dave?
We did.
He looks quite interested in that too. Shame that is harassing him slightly. Let's not do that again. No, go, shush, quiet. No, quiet. There we go. Alright, I am now looking at another picture of the dark chanting, and it does say that he sits on one leg and hides his legs in the feathers. I'm going with that one. I am slightly embarrassed by this, but that's just the way it is. Right, dark chanting goshawk, wonderful, well done everybody. Let's move on. See how he moves his head like that? He's not just doing that because he's getting jiggy with it. He's doing it because it helps him to judge the distance to whatever he's looking at. So he's probably spotted a squirrel or a dwarf mongoose or something like that. And by moving his head like that, it's a little bit like, what else do you see doing that? Owls do it for hearing. It just helps them to line up the distance. They have binocular vision, so they're able to judge distance very well. But just shifting the head slightly like that gives them a slightly better depth of field. I found myself doing the same thing completely instinctively when I'm walking through the bush and I think I see something. I just move my head from side to side to see if there is actually a difference in distance between what I'm looking at and what I think I'm looking at. Righty, there it is, the dark chanting goshawk. Well done. On we go, Dave. I'm appalled that you just disagreed with me there. You're lucky not to have a crown of Sisyphus by the time we get home. Oh, the light is magnificent again. So we're going to go up towards 3 in a row pan now, and we'll see if there isn't anything having a drink there. Maybe quarantine. We know that his favourite marula tree is over there. 3-year-old male leopard. Mowing my luck over the last few days, probably not, but maybe. Brenda, you want to know how Buffy is? Buffy, Brenda, seems to be fine. We haven't boiled him any egg, no. We've taken various bits of advice and taken the average of all of it. We have fed him more egg. We fed him a bit of mince, which he ate very happily. The problem with Buffy is that he seems to be definitely paralyzed in the legs, and that is going to be a problem going forward. So I don't know, we'll see what happens. He is eating a bit now. His bowels are definitely working, but he's paralyzed around the legs, so I'm not sure what we're going to do with him. We are quite a distance from any kind of rehabilitation centre, but I mean, I don't think they'd take a red-billed buffalo weaver. We'll see. We'll just see if he seems to be in any kind of pain or if he's suffering. Very difficult to tell, of course, with the bird because it can't really frown. But he certainly was very happy with his egg and mince this morning. Oh, and he had a little bit of pronutro as well. Kirsten has most surprisingly turned into the mother of Buffy. Samuel is the sort of father. He's a bit neglectful, but he's not bad. You just have to remind him every so often that he needs to go and check on his youngster. Good old Samuel. Let's take this road. I've never taken this road before. The roads on Cheetah Plains are just exceptional. They really are. They've been beautifully looked after. Not a great deal to see on them at the moment, but they are beautifully looked after. Tomorrow, I'm not sure how much bushwalking he's going to do this week, but there will definitely be some bushwalking during the course of the week, and that is the best way to look at the bugs. There's a giant elephant. David, the first thing that you do when you see an elephant on the left is do what?
Look for another one on the right.
Correct. Absolutely correct. In this case, we don't seem to have any. I wonder if this isn't part of the same herd that we saw earlier. Let me just move up beyond these trees. There's a youngish bull, and he's just next to a tree that I climbed the other day. It was a wonderful tree to climb. Yeah, this one. Look how peacefully he's moving here. Because he's walking as slowly as Sam. Must be from Cape Town, this elephant, everyone. He really is moving very slowly. Rob, you're in Liverpool. Lovely to hear from you. Not a lot of elephants in Liverpool. And you want to know if the big bulls fight with each other for the attentions of females. Yes, they do, if they happen to be in must at the same time and in the same herd at the same time. So, a must bull elephant is an elephant that has an elevated testosterone level. He's ready to mate, and he'll go seeking the attentions of an estrus female. Now, if he should come across a herd with an estrus female and there be another bull in must also looking to mate, then they do fight, yes. Sometimes very viciously indeed, but it's not that common. You move a little bit forward. This guy is very relaxed. This is of course the best way to view an elephant. Oh, unless you happen to be that Dicrostachus bush that he's just snapped. Might have to take a picture, David. There we go, super zoom in on his eyes. Look at those eyes. I think looking at elephants' eyes is just very, very sort of, I don't know what it is, it's maybe enlightening, calming, something like that. Just listen to him. Beautiful. And he smells just like an elephant should, of course. Well, it's because he's an elephant. But they smell like sweet leather. Very difficult to hear the name of this following question, but the question is, it's something like, hello random something. Hello random something, that is your Twitter handle, so hello to you, hello random commenter. Random commenter, you want to know if elephants are left or right tusked? It depends on the elephant really, in the same way that it depends on the human being as to whether they are left or right-handed. This one I cannot tell. I don't think it's quite as dominant as it is with human beings. I think it's quite as clear-cut. But certainly you do find with elephants that one tusk has often got a little groove on it because it's used more often for doing what this elephant's doing here, which is of course breaking off branches. There he is. I'd say he's probably about 25 years old. And I did mention a little bit earlier that I thought the elephants in that herd that we saw were looking a little bit skinny. And if you look at this chap, you can see his hips sticking out slightly. And I don't know that these elephants have not taken a bit of a battering because of the drought that we've had. Nutrients are just not quite there in the plants that they eat. And I think that's very difficult for them. And they're already onto their winter forage, which is trees. You can see him eating bark, he's eating leaves, he's eating twigs. But the elephant's main limiting factor is water, and in that, because of that, the Sabi Sands will basically be a sink for elephants. It will attract elephants out of the Kruger where there are parts where there isn't any water, and that I think is going to mean that we see a lot of elephants during the course of the dry season. Now this plant that he's eating, called Dicrostachys cinerea, is there. Look, you see he's using his left tusk there. No, Kirsten, I'm afraid this is a waste of time. I can't hear you at all. So we're going to have to take the questions a little bit later after we've finished watching this elephant. Sorry. It's just very, it's very static. So what I wanted to say is he's eating a plant called Dicrostachys cinerea, or the sickle bush, or the Chinese lantern bush. It makes lovely little sort of Chinese lantern-shaped flowers that smell very sweet, or subtly sweet, in the springtime and in the summer. But you can see how he is making, I mean, he's destroying it. And I don't mean that in a negative fashion. He's changing its shape. He will unquestionably have an effect on whether or not it's able to breed. And often they will just pull these things straight out of the ground. Now, in the absence of elephants, this tree, the sickle bush, becomes an encroacher. It climbs into grazing areas and makes them unusable to grazing animals. And you can see how important an elephant therefore is to an ecosystem, how they change the shape of the vegetation, how this whole environment has evolved to survive with elephants. And when you take them out, when you take a keystone species like this out, trees like this just explode into existence, and it really does reduce the biodiversity of the other species. It's not actually a sensical term. It just reduces the biodiversity. A species cannot have biodiversity. It is by default only one. And look at his prehensile trunk. He's selecting exactly the pieces he wants. Having a bit of a scratch. Look at his eyes. Hey, isn't that wonderful? He's probably about 15 meters from us. That's about 50 feet. And he's definitely watching us with those wizened eyes. Here he comes to say hello. Now, if he was that enormous bull that we saw with the herd earlier on, I wouldn't be quite as comfortable with him walking this close to us. But this chap is highly unlikely to react in a way that could be threatening. So we'll just sit here and see what he does. He's now closed the distance to about 30 feet. He's eating the same kind of bush, a sickle bush. Look at his eyes. That's incredible. That's incredible. And there you can see the gland. Dave, if you go just behind there, just and down a little, there you can see the gland. That's the gland from which they stream when they're a bit stressed, the temporal gland. That's an unbelievable picture. Hey, take some screenshots of that, everybody. Blinking there. Very nice, old boy. Now, it wouldn't surprise me to know that that herd that we saw earlier hadn't come through here, and because of those big bulls, this chap is just, I mean, he's keeping with them, but sort of within olfactory and auditory contact, so not within visual contact. He can smell them, he can possibly hear them rumbling at each other with their infrasound. And I think we'll just let him go off into the bush there. Just to warn you, everybody, apparently from tomorrow, because of the drought, we won't be driving off-road on Djuma for elephants anymore. I'm not sure what the status will be on Cheetah Plains. So the elephants that we do see there, we'll be viewing from the road. So if we don't drive off-road for elephants, that is the reason why. But luckily we have this lens with us, and we had that first elephant sighting. I mean, those things were about a quarter of a mile away, and it was a wonderful, wonderful sighting. So we have these long lenses these days, and that makes viewing animals at a distance imminently possible. Right, let's head across to Samuel of the Cape and get an update from him.
So, we have been trying to get round a tree that an elephant pushed over a couple of minutes ago. We had to track round this tree that was in the middle of the road, which was quite uncomfortable, but we managed to get through it. These Eddies can make quite a mess out here in the bush. Can make a very, very big mess in the bush. Now, I heard you had a very cool sighting with an elephant bull. That's very cool. As well as a gabar goshawk. Did you finally agree that it was a gabar goshawk? Negative. Dark chanting. Alright. That's a very cool bird. I haven't seen that before. So I'm sure your guys' bird list is just growing. And when the summer season comes again, it's going to get even bigger. James Richard said, what would he like to be? Well, James Richard, you said you want to be an elephant bull, like the one James just saw earlier. Yeah, that would be cool, hey James. I wouldn't mind being an elephant bull either. Just because they also don't have that much prey, like predators to worry about. They kind of just worry about being, when they're born and the calving stage is where they're going to have the most difficulty. But as they get older, elephants have quite a nice time actually out here in the bush compared to some of the other species. But we just missed that beautiful gold of the sunset. As you can see, the sun is now very well down in the sky, and it's a few grey clouds, nothing like last night. Last night was freezing. When I woke up this morning, we all put in a number of jackets. It was getting colder and colder and colder. So the plan now, as we drive on, we're going to go through to the hyena den, which will be exciting. Quite keen to see what the hyenas have been up to. The last time we were with them, they were fighting with each other's little wildebeest over there. A lonely wildebeest on his own, which will be a male. Out in an open area, they'll be eating the short grasses as we spoke about this morning. And you'll see them in these open areas with a number of different animals, such as the antelope and the zebra. And he's got some grass in his mouth there. Jesse wants to know why there aren't much larger herds of wildebeest in the area, much like there are in Africa. Hold on, we've got a vehicle in the way here. I'm just going to get round it. Good afternoon, Vol.
Hello.
You would. Well, the wildebeest in these areas used to migrate far distances, but since human habitation and our influence has created borders that they can't migrate far places. And they've tried to adapt these wildebeest so that they can graze and have some sort of migratory pattern, because they used to migrate far distances, much like the ones in Tanzania. And you obviously get the blue and the black wildebeest, and they're two different types. And generally it's a very, very difficult one, because there are some sort of management schemes in different parts of the reserve to try and bring back that kind of grazing where they can move to the shorter grasses, because that's what the wildebeest are generally doing, trying to find the shorter grasses. So it's a subject and something that I'm still quite interested in learning about, how the wildebeest migration works and why the ones in the Sabi Sands and the Kruger National Park are quite solitary now. They don't move like the ones in Africa will move large distances, big migrations. But they also get, when they're here in the Sabi Sands, they can get, we're going to the hyena den. I just saw tracks. It could be tracks. So there's tracks just here, and they are hyena tracks, but they're heading in this direction. But we're going to head towards the den, which is on the road above this, which is Aubrey. So this is Gallagher Shortcut. It's very close to camp. Camp's just behind us. And we're going to leave Gallagher behind and go to Aubrey's, where we'll see if we can find out if these hyenas are active. But it's a conversation that I want to have more in the future, is how wildebeests are and how difficult it is for them to exist in this landscape, in the future, because it's quite important. They can only really graze on the shorter grasses. So that's why it's very important to have that ecosystem succession with the zebra. Picky Swear from Michigan wants to know, do we put food out for any animals during the drought or the winter season? Because you guys do that for the deer, is that correct? Well, we don't do that here in Africa. Of course, it's much bigger, and there's no need to. What we do is some of the lodges here and the reserves here will fill up the watering holes with some water, pumped water, which will help bring the animals to those areas. It's a strategy of land management strategy to bring all the different diversity of animals to their land. So if we don't put out food, we definitely put out water, which makes a big difference here in the Sabi Sands. But I just thought I'd also show you, because yesterday we had a conversation around what are the different family groups of all the different animals, and I didn't know what family group the civet was, so I drew it just while we were on the way to the hyena den. I just want to clear it up for any viewers that were, please excuse my drawing. I know it's not good, purely because it looks like a child's, and it's quite a fat civet, but that is my civet over there. And on the civet, so I'm going to slow down because it's not easy for Brian to film. I wrote down a few things. So it's Viveridae is the family group, and it's similar to civets, mongoose, and genets. So they're part of the Viveridae. So I got that wrong yesterday. I thought they were part of the Felidae, the feline subgroup. And yeah, so I just wanted to clear up for everyone out there. So as soon as I'm learning and getting something wrong, I'm trying to find out what the answer is, and we can learn together, kind of build our knowledge as we build our knowledge together out here in the bush. And if you like drawing, please draw for us. If it's Violet or Gracie or any of the young children that enjoy drawing, please draw us your favorite animal. What is your favorite animal? If you want to be an Ellie bull, or if you want to be a dolphin, if you want to be anything, please draw us your favorite animal and the animal that you would want to be if you weren't a human being, and send it to us. I would truly love to see those pictures, just because I love drawing, and drawing helps me to connect with the animals a bit better. So now we're on Aubrey's Road. So we're on the way to the hyena den. Just a couple of minutes we'll be seeing what those clan members are up to. Let's have a quick recap of what we what we experienced a couple days ago. So we were driving, the last time I saw the hyenas, one just ran across my road like this, and it was very, very quick, and we followed that hyena, took it back to the den. There was a bit of a confrontation between, I think it was one of the other females, I think it was Corky. So there's three of them. There's Corky, Madam, what was the third one? Pretty, yes, got it. So Pretty, Madam, and Corky. And I think there was a little bit of aggression between the two females. I wasn't sure, but it was two of them fighting. And then they were eating, and the female was so fat. The madam was so fat. It was crazy how big she was. I didn't know how she was putting any more in her stomach. And then we came back later that afternoon, and we saw more food. So it looked like the part of the skeleton of whatever the kill was. And the madam came and shared it with the young cubs, and they started fighting with each other just to get to that food. So it was quite a scene unfolding between the young cubs of the hyena den last time we were there. So let's see what's going on. I'd love to know what's going on with the hyenas this evening. Just want to turn down the volume on this radio. It's so nice to know where everything is on this reserve. Well, I still don't know a lot, but it's nice to know a little bit more about what's going on, where I can actually make my way to the hyena den without getting lost at least 5 times. Alright, we should be there very, very soon. So there's 2 dens, and when we were there last time, both of them were quite active. So the female went and sat by the one den for a while, and the rest just went and sat next to the other one. So we'll check them both out. It's also a possibility that later the wild dogs that we were with earlier might cross over into Weatela. Should be exciting. Let's go up the next one, the next one first, just because was the one that was active with the cubs. So our best chances are going to be with this den. We'll go check that one out to see what it's doing. If it's active, we'll sit with it and see what's going on. There's elephant dung all over the road, and I try not to drive over the dung because there might be some dung beetles in there. You don't want to kill all the dung beetles. Preserve life when possible. Oh yes, it is active, guys. Good news, everyone. I already see a hyena in the distance. Let's see what's going on this evening at the hyena den. There's a big branch in the way here. Yes, there's a couple playing down there. There's 2 here. Wow, let's watch this. It looks like we've just come in for the action. Two of the cubs are out. Let's just listen and watch for now. like to know, do hyena have a more powerful back than that of a lion and a leopard? Bite. Sorry, the jaw. Do they have a more powerful bite? Sorry, I didn't hear that correctly. Yes, they have the most powerful jaw in the bush here. It is their most significant form of defense and attack. So both defense and attack. A hyena will use its jaw, and it can break all sorts of things. It can crush bone to eat that. So hyenas are opportunistic hunters as well as scavengers out here. So they'll feed on any carrion that is out in the bush, which is carcasses of different animals. They'll clean up all sorts of old kills. They'll eat almost anything. It's incredible to watch. But in the big groups, which they can get up to 30 and even more, they can go and collectively and cooperatively take down an animal, such as a zebra or a wildebeest, or anything. They're very, very powerful, strong creatures, the hyena, especially their jaws. And you often find that the hyenas are playing and strengthening their jaws, and their youngsters, look how much bigger they look. Since when I came here for my interview drive 2 months ago, they were so small, and they are really big now. I wouldn't be able to ID them. I can't see a difference between them. I'm sure there is a number of you that can. Let's have a look at them. Fascinating to watch these hyenas playing this evening. It's not the first time we've seen this. And last time they had a big meal to eat that the little cubs were fighting for, and they made quite a large noise. What's different to the wild dogs that we saw earlier? Wild dogs are quite cooperative in their eating habits, so they don't get as aggressive. But hyenas on a kill get very aggressive with one another, much like lions. So if we ever see hyenas on a kill, watch how they interact with each other. Have a look at this one biting the other one. See how they're using, they might be strengthening their jaw even by playing with each other like that. Look at that, there's a whole jaw over its neck there. Very interesting behavior. Playing with each other. Are they playing with each other, or all they're actually doing? Having a little bit of dominance between one another. Look at this youngster. So remember that there's one that was born in November, 2 that were born in December, and 2 that were born in January. Look at the one popping his head out the hole. That's very cool. So hyenas, the reason why we came to the hyenas this evening is because they become a lot more active in the evenings at this time when the sun comes down, and when the sun rises in the morning is the 2 times in the day we're going to be able to view hyenas. They are nocturnal animals, which means they come out at night time and move around. There was one right by our camp last night, and I was just fixing something or doing something in the car last night, and a hyena came right next to me. I got such a fright. This is such a cool sight. Look at this. It's very cool to watch the dust just bellow out as they play there. That dust is very, very cool. Monty from Virginia is asking, is it true that hyenas will eat their prey alive? Yes, this is true, and it's quite horrific to watch. There was once in a sighting where they were killing a warthog, and they didn't kill the warthog, they just bit it until it died of shock and blood loss. So, unlike a leopard or a cheetah, they will try and get the jugular as quick as possible. The jugular is the neck area. That will, oh, that's cool. They just slid down the den there. So hyenas will just start eating on any kill that they come across. The reason why the cheetah and the leopard will try and make the animal as silent as possible, as soon as possible, is because that'll allow it to feed on its kill easier in terms of not being heard by the hyena. The hyena has an incredible ability to smell things from far distances and hear things from far distances. So as soon as a hyena catches, what's going on there? One's lifted his leg, it looks like. Let's have a look again. Was it suckling or was it greeting one another? So what we saw last time was that they were greeting one another by licking the areas of the genitalia. It's a way in which they greet. It's fascinating to watch that the other day as they came into the hyena den. So, just going back to that conversation, the leopard and the cheetah kill them and eat the parts of the body that aren't the stomach, because the stomach makes a very, very strong, pungent smell, and the hyenas can smell that open stomach from very far. And that's why a leopard will carry its food up a tree. It's because the hyenas will get there very, very quickly. And we've seen that in a number of sites already where the hyena is sitting underneath the tree waiting for some food to fall. I was lying on his back. Parlor lady, and it's just, oh, hold on, this is so cool. Look at them just playing, legs in the air. Oh yes. This is very cool to watch. Parlor lady wanted to, oh jeebus, that was a, ooh, alright. It's got a bottom in the head. Curious lady just asked if I ever get nervous when they get too curious at times. I did when I first started training. I used to get very nervous of the hyena, especially when I was sleeping out in the bush with some of my friends. I used to get very nervous because I didn't understand the animal. But as soon as you understand everything, you get to understand their behavior better, and to live around them is much easier. So when a hyena comes anywhere close, all you have to do is shine your light at them at night time and they run away. Just don't fall asleep outside because they'll just come and nibble on you, which wouldn't be cool. This is so cool to watch them play like this. This reminds me of my interview drive. Was that with you, Brian? Mm-hmm. And we watched those two hyenas playing in the woodring hole. That was my first drive ever for Wild Earth. It was so cool. Okay. So James has left Cheetah Plains. Let's get an update from him and see how he's doing. We're not going to leave anywhere. We're going to watch these hyenas play for a bit longer.
We have come back to the realms of Djuma, everybody. Torchwood to the right-hand side, and the treacherous Karula who left us after 3 days of us courting her. She went off up there and found a Torchwood duiker to eat instead of a Djuma one. I'm sure they taste the same. Why couldn't you have caught one there? I saw plenty today. Anyway. What on earth was that? Oh, it is the tracks of a hippopotamus. Look at that.
Hey, Dad.
See on the road there?
Oh, did you have any luck with
Well, obviously you see on the road there, so I'm just turning the radio down. That is a hippo path, and that is water hyacinth that has come out of the dam in which the hippo was clearly spent this chilly day and came out of the water and is now grazing up somewhere inside Torchwood. It's quite fun to see. Quite fun to see. I mean, it's not earth-shattering. And here is the corner of Cheetah Plains, not Cheetah Plains, Cheetah Cutline. So this is the far eastern boundary of Djuma. Up to the north, we're going to continue to the west. You can see the dying embers of this 1st of May. First of May is May Day, if I'm not incorrect, which means that's why we had Workers' Day here on Friday. So today is May Day. But it is a Sunday anyway. Hello, Jesse. Lovely to hear from you. We want to know what kind of animals are going to stay in Kruger and survive the drought. What sort of adaptations do they have, I guess, or what kind of animals are going to get through the drought? Jesse, first let's unpack what the drought actually means. So it's perfectly normal for us not to have rain between now and November. That is normal. But because we've had such a very poor wet season, which with about a third of the rain we would normally have, that dry season is going to be a lot more problematic for most of the animals. So what that means is that most of the animals are adapted very well to dealing with dry conditions that we as human beings could not survive in, and conditions that most sort of northern European or Northern American animals would certainly not survive in. That said, we're going to have an exceptionally dry season this year. Now, what I think that inevitably is going to mean is a general thinning of the mammal population. So it means that animals, I think of all kinds, sorry about that, all herbivores are going to, numbers will probably decline slightly. The predators will have a pretty good time of it because their prey will be weakened, and so it'll be easy to kill. So the predators will probably do okay, up to a point beyond which, the drought is really severe. Say we have another really terrible rainy season next year, well, that means the predators will also start to have a dive, but let's not even think about that just yet. So that's what will happen then. But if we delve a little bit deeper and think about animals that are able to move to water and animals that aren't, we find things like Warthogs, in theory, should suffer more in the absence of water. Around this particular area, there's lots of water, and so you find that warthog won't have an issue, like they didn't during the drought that we had recently. The warthog actually got through it just fine. The buffalo, however, started to suffer, as did the elephants, because I think the forage quality dropped substantially and they were not able to cope particularly well. So I think in this area, the Kruger area, the buffalo, the elephant, possibly the impala, and then the warthogs are going to suffer the most during the drought. I hope that answers your question, Jesse, but it's going to be, that would be my guess. I think it's going to be interesting to see. I've never experienced a really heavy drought in this area. It's the heaviest that I've experienced this year, so I was surprised by a number of the things that happened, especially by how well the warthogs coped, because you read in the textbooks that they're the ones that suffer the most during a drought, and I suspect in areas where they don't pump water, that is absolutely the case. But here they do pump water, and I don't think the warthogs suffered. I do think the buffalo suffered, and I definitely think the elephant started to look a bit ropey as well. Very nice question, thank you for that. Alistair, you're in Johannesburg, and I think you've got a great idea. You say, shall we leave a stick or a stone at Buffelshoek Dam or Treehouse Dam? I think Buffelshoek's a better idea because there's more water there. And let's watch and see how quickly the water level recedes over the coming months. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I'm going to ask somebody to try and remind me to do it tomorrow, because my mind is like a sieve, so I will probably forget. But I think it's a brilliant idea. If you're watching tomorrow morning, please remind us, or tomorrow evening, please remind us if we haven't done it by the morning. I think it's a great idea, Alistair. I think Buffelshoek Dam will hold water. If we don't get rain, I think it'll hold water probably through to July, at least. It's amazing how quickly it filled up, even on the back end of that very little bit of rain that we had. Oh, I forgot to tell you. We did find, we found tracks of a male leopard just on the road that I had driven this morning, and they were on top of my tracks from this morning. I think they were probably quarantines. We had a brief look around, but then it got dark and I'm afraid we couldn't see the tracks going anywhere else. So he's around there, right near 3 in a row pan. So soon, hopefully, we will find him there again. Could have been a Vula, could have been Quarantine's father. Much chillier than it's been. Really nasty little cold front going through here. I think tomorrow morning is going to be fairly icy for us. Well, I don't mean icy, I mean probably around sort of 14 or 13 degrees. Alrighty, that's going to be it from us this afternoon. Let's head across to Sam. He will guide you through the rest of the drive. Thank you for all of your comments and questions while we were on the Cheetah Plains. I hope you enjoyed our soporific Sunday afternoon drive. We'll see you tomorrow in the dawn of the new week. Bye-bye.
Okay, so we just had a very cool sighting with those hyenas. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It's nice to spend the last little bit of drive with hyenas just to catch up and see how they're doing and kind of see their dynamics and their social structure, behavior, what are they up to, how those cubs are doing. So thoroughly enjoyed that. I heard that you heard Kirsty through the comms and that she's boss. Well, she definitely is the boss to some extent because she helps me listen to your questions. But yeah, I'm driving the vehicle, so I turn left or right. But yeah, so it's been a great drive. I really enjoyed today. You know, whether it was from this morning driving around to this evening, looking at those wild dogs, and actually spending quite a bit of time learning a little bit more about the wild dogs by sitting with them. That's sometimes the best way we can learn about them. Is, you know, every single time I wasn't live, I was reading all about wild dogs and their influence and all that. So I really enjoyed today, and just to let everyone know, if you guys want to follow me, I don't use Facebook and my profile as much as I'd like to. So I've started a page which is called Rewild. So you can follow my page on Rewild or another page called Sustainable Brothers and Sisters, and that's the way in which I kind of show the work that I've been doing, and I write papers and pictures and everything that I'm interested in, and of course we'll share photos of the different leopards and the different animals that are out here in the bush. So yeah, let's use Rewild on Facebook to use it as a platform to share and collaborate a little bit more. And I must say I'm very, very, very grateful for all the information and the confidence that I've been getting from all the viewers. It makes a big, big difference in my life. So thank you. And I'm sure we've got so much to look forward to. Maybe we've got the wild dogs coming back in the morning. They were just south of our property, and we'll see if we can get them back. Well, not see if we can get them back. If they are, we'll have a look tomorrow morning. But otherwise, it's been another fun-filled few days. We'll see you in the morning. It's going to be exciting. It might be a bit cold. Thank you, Brian and the Thumb, for everything. Enjoy your evening, morning.